Thank you, James. Hello and welcome. This is my first time in Norwich for about 16 years, and I've forgotten just how beautiful this city is, so thank you for having me. I've come here today mainly because I brought my daughter, mainly because I'm the mother of an ROGD daughter, and that stands for Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria. If you don't know where that comes from, there's a lady called Lisa Littman who came up with a study in 2018, and it was published in August 2018, which showed the amount of teenage girls that are getting caught up in this cult. They are getting involved with social media and getting pulled into the cult online in the same way that my daughter was, and thinking that they are the opposite sex. Now, they're usually very, very young girls. My daughter was only 11 when she got caught up in the cult and believed that she was a gay boy. And a lot of these girls are doing the same. The trouble is, it's not like being an emo or being a goth or just getting into little things like we did in the 90s. This is far more insidious, because a lot of these girls end up taking what's called puberty blockers, which are hormones that stop the body from going into natural puberty, shutting it down completely and destroying the body, destroying the bones, giving risk of heart problems, bone issues, etc. And then they go on to cross-sex hormones. Now, for girls, that is really, really bad, because it's testosterone, which is 10 times more powerful and more poisonous to a girl than it is to a boy, because we're not supposed to be ingesting testosterone as girls. It's for boys. And so the trouble is that what they say is that these changes are reversible. They are not reversible. And the trouble is, when my daughter first came out as quote-unquote trans, I had no idea what was going on. I was blind to the cult. I didn't know the culture of what was going on at the time. And so I affirmed my daughter, and I took her to some LGBTQIA, etc., AYZ groups. And I discovered that 2 other parents within that group already had their 11-year-old children on puberty blockers. They were getting them from an insidious private organisation called GenderGP, and were paying under the table to a doctor that had already been struck off for being responsible for the death of 2 teenage boys that he'd put on cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers. And his wife had been suspended at the time, although she's now been struck off. Her name is Helen Weberly, and they are the directors of GenderGP. They're still going, despite the fact that both the directors have been struck off for doing this awful, awful work and for selling puberty blockers, sometimes directly to children and young people for whatever they can pay for. Sometimes it's a few quid, sometimes it's a few hundred quid. They'll just take whatever you're willing to pay, because they want to get these teenagers on these hormones. It's absolutely disgusting. Another person to also Google is a guy called John Money. John Money coined the phrase gender identity in the 60s, and he experimented on one of a set of twins. There were 2 boys over in America, and one of the boys unfortunately had an accident when he had a circumcision when he was only about 8 months old. That accident led to his penis being damaged, and as a result, John Money told his parents to remove the rest of his genitals and to raise him as a girl. He never felt like he was a girl, and by the time he was 14, he was in such a state that his parents had to admit to him what they'd done. As soon as he knew, he went back to being a boy and called himself David. These are the Reimer twins, by the way. Google John Money, Google the Reimer twins. And he went back to his original sex as a boy. And the trouble is that him and his brother were already being experimented on by John Money. And not only experimented on, but every time they met with John Money, he also sexually abused them. And both of these teenage boys committed suicide as adults. One of them, the brother of David, he took an overdose in his late 20s, and David himself shot himself with a sawn-off shotgun. Sorry to be graphic, but that's how it is. When he was 32 years old. This is the most awful cult I've ever come across in my life. It nearly destroyed my daughter. It nearly destroyed me and my family. We've come out the other side. My daughter is here with me today. She's 15 and a half now. And she's desisted. She's still a bit true trans, but I'm working on it. But at least she knows now that she is a girl, and she will one day be a woman. Yes. Thank you. So please, be careful of social media, be careful of the culture, be careful of the cult, especially if you have young daughters or even young sons or young children in your family, because these people will stop at nothing to groom your children into this cult, and they are destroying children and young people's lives. And most of them are coming out and desisting or detransitioning by the time they hit their mid-20s, because that's when their brain stops and is fully grown and they are fully mature and they realise, what the fuck have I done to myself? And we are now getting lawsuits coming out of this country and in America and in Australia. And I tell you what, over the next decade, the lawsuits that are going to come out of the West is going to be astronomical. It's going to be great to see, but at the same time it's going to be really heartbreaking to see, because we know that these people have to be destroyed before they can do this and before they can fight back and get any kind of compensation for the people that have done this to them. That's all I've got to say. I kind of just ad-libbed there, but yeah, just keep yourself aware. No woman has a penis! No man has a vagina! Non-binary is nonsense!
Non-binary is nonsense!
And transitioning children is profound abuse! Thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, James.